Welcome to the Smarter Science of Slim, the scientifically proven program where you eat more and exercise less to burn fat and boost health.
Eat smarter, exercise smarter, live better. I am so ready for that.
Hey everyone, Jonathan Bailor and Carrie Brown back with another Living the Smarter Science of Slim show. Carrie, you just got done dining on some sanity.
Yes, I did, and it was yum, yum, yummy.
She was dinging her bowl. I was like, click, click. I was like, Carrie, you have to finish eating before we start the show. But I gave her time to finish eating because what she was eating was so sane and awesome that I could not interfere. Tell us about your sweet, sweet sanity.
It was SANE chili. Lovely people. I made you SANE chili, and it is so good. And this is from the girl that's never eaten regular chili.
and this chili. But again, like most things Carrie does, this chili is extremely sane and is shocking. The ingredients are a bit shocking. Carrie, give us an overview of this chili.
It is probably 75% vegetables, but you would never know it from eating it. The texture and the flavor are just like, I hesitate to say the real thing because actually mine is realer in terms of real food than regular chili, but you know what I mean. It tastes exactly the same. The texture's the same, consistency's the same, and it's so good for you, you won't even believe it.
Carrie actually has transformed my life in yet another way. She's already done this in many wonderful ways, but culinarily, her most recent transformation is chili is not generally thought of as a soup, but chili-like, soup-like substances. And you know I'm a fan of the Vitamix, so I cannot believe it has taken me this long to get a little bit more savory and soupy with the Vitamix, but Carrie's converted me, and I'm never going back.
Yay!
Yay! One, Carrie, that is a great segue into the topic of today's show, which is ways to save money while going sane and getting eccentric. And the reason I say that's a good segue is I have found using your soup recipes as a base, some wonderful ways to consume more affordable sources of sane protein, which if you just try to eat them plain are disgusting.
I love saving money.
Side note.
It's one of my favorite things. It's a very, very favorite topic of mine.
So let me give one concrete example of why this will make Carrie and hopefully all you lovely listeners happy. And what I was talking about earlier in terms of saving money with these sane soups. So tuna fish is wonderfully sane and is incredibly affordable. Mm-hmm. So you can get one can of tuna packed in water, dolphin safe, non-toxic, is somewhere between 50 cents and $1, depending on where you buy it. And that's approximately 35 grams of the most robust, sane protein you could ever ask for.
Love that.
So love that. But here's what's even better. So those are those little cans we usually think, and they're not really little. Most people can't eat an entire can of tuna, but I can.
I'm going, really? I can eat two. Oops.
Well, but they also sell at places like Costco or Sam's Club or any kind of bulk retailer these giant cans of tuna. Have you seen the giant cans of tuna?
I've seen them in your pantry, Bailor.
But what's cool
They're bigger than Jonathan's head.
What's amazing is if you thought tuna was affordable before, buying this one giant can of tuna drops the cost by nearly 50%.
Which is a lot.
But what the heck are you going to do with this giant can of tuna?
I have 6 cats. I have no problem with that.
But what you can do is you can come up with, like, for example, this SANE chili base that Carrie's come up with, or she's also come up with these wonderful bases. And then the protein is just take this giant vat of tuna fish and add it. And tuna is like chicken. It takes on the flavor of whatever you put it in. So now you've got your soup, savory goodness, saturated with vegetables, sane goodness, saturated with awesome sane protein, which was extremely affordable. And you have a bowl of 5-star, piping hot, delicious sanity that will fill you up and heal your metabolism for maybe $1 or $2 per serving. McDonald's can't even touch that.
And then you get yourself lots of Pyrex glass dishes and you pack that sucker into dishes and you freeze it, and then you've got lunches or dinners ready to reheat at the touch of a button.
And to make that even better, like Carrie said, you freeze it, and then if you're traveling or if you're on the road, you just take literally the frozen dish and you let it thaw out. I mean, and it's going to take a long time for it to thaw out. So you basically have your refrigeration on the go with you because the thing's frozen, which is awesome.
Yes.
So that is a good example of cost-effective ways to incorporate protein into our diet, which is important because protein can be the most expensive element of a traditional grocery bill.
Well, just when we're talking about protein, the thing that popped in my head was our beloved, or now beloved, dried egg white powder. Because I think in one size 10, sorry for you non-Americans, but for one of the size 10 cans, I think I worked out there's like 218 eggs worth of egg white in there. And if you buy those, they're about $25 a can. You work that out per egg versus what you would pay for 218 eggs. And all you do is rehydrate it with water. It's just a phenomenal savings.
Yeah, there's an amazing opportunity to not only make sanity affordable, but it is a fact. It is a fact that if you do the types of things Carrie's describing here that we're talking about, for example, getting your egg whites in this canned form, experimenting with canned tuna, there's also things that we'll get into later. Not only is it affordable, but it is less expensive than going to a McDonald's and getting a fast food restaurant. Substantially. McDonald's value meals. I didn't actually realize this, Carrie, until I did some research online before the show.
What, you mean you don't eat at McDonald's, Jonathan?
Well, so a value meal is going to cost you between $5 and $10. That's not a small. If that's a family of 4, you're talking $30 to $40 for lunch. That's not a value where I'm from, at least. I don't know. No, and
you could make days worth of some of my totally delicious soups for that.
Absolutely. So, and some other examples, and some foods that you may not otherwise try if you didn't think of them in this context. One thing that I've really been enjoying recently are canned clams.
I love clams. In fact, I'd never eaten clams till I came here because we're not very clammy eaters in England. But after I came here and had my first vat of clam chowder, I was sold. And actually, that's on my list of things to make SANE is clam chowder. But I love clams. And I did actually see Jonathan's barrel of clams that he has in his pantry.
Barrel of clams. That sounds like the name of something. The barrel of clams. I love it. Well, and clams, not only are they delicious when incorporated into all sorts of dishes. And again, I personally would think of clams a bit like you would think of tuna or chicken. I'm sure Carrie will have something to say here because she knows a lot more about this than I do. But they have a very mild taste. But where they are different from both tuna and chicken, our clams are a freaking nutritional powerhouse. You want to talk about nutrient density? We talked a few weeks back, Carrie, about the amazing nutrient density of liver, but a lot of people aren't fans of liver because it has a very distinct taste.
I'm going to change that. FYI, lovely listeners, there's liver coming your way and you're going to love it.
So while you're waiting to have liver, lovely liver, which is also hard to purchase. So if you get over the taste, then you have to get over the hurdle of acquiring it. But assuming you get over all of those things,
it'll be worth it.
Clams, like if you get a chance, go online and type in nutrition data on clams. A 300 calorie serving of clams. We're not talking this whole, you buy some engineered food product garbage and it's like 10% of your recommended daily allowance of vitamin A and 7% of blah, blah, blah.
I wish you could see him right now. He's so funny.
Clams are coming with like 300% of X, 1000% of vitamin B12. And these are, like, if you look at these 5-hour energies or whatever, they're just trying to give you this artificial B12. You want an energy boost, get 2000% of your recommended daily allowance, and we can get into what that actually means, of vitamin B12 from a natural protein-rich source like clams in a delicious, SANE soup base. That's like 50-hour energy. Boom!
I'm going to do same clam chowder now. I mean, I was thinking about it anyway, but now I'm there because crazy people need B12. I've got to eat that puppy.
And the other thing that's interesting about clams is there are some individuals who are currently vegans or vegetarians who, like, you cannot get B12. That has to come from an animal source. And there are individuals who, while they morally are not fans of eating mammals, for example, like it's just not, they don't want to eat a cow, they may have less issue with eating fish and even less issue with things that don't have a central nervous system.
Things.
I didn't know how to say. For like, so like a clam is I don't know if this makes sense, but I've heard it described to me as
It's an enormous amoeba.
yes, like think of a rock on one end of the spectrum and people on the other end, and sort of the closer you get to a rock, the less people care if you kill it, because even vegetarians are killing something. Something dies when you eat. Something dies.
Right.
Like that's kind of
Right.
sad, but that's the way the world works. So it's just what are we okay with having die so that we can live? Wow, that's morbid as heck. So it's like an uplifting podcast.
Back to the clam being
Back to the
closer
clam.
to the rock.
The clam is closer to a rock. It is nutritionally powerful, and it has a very mild taste. So you can add it to just about anything. And if you get it canned clams, it's just take the clams out of the can, rinse them off, done. It's not like shuck them and trim them and pat them on the back. They're just ready to go.
And soon, you are funny today.
Shuck them and trim them and pat them on the back.
And soon, lovely listeners, you'll be able to have SANE clam chowder and your mouths will be so incredibly happy, and your pockets will be happy too.
Also, money saving. So we talked about basically canned proteins. Awesome. So canned proteins, make sure you rinse them off once you get them out of the can to get any of that can residue off there. But you can do canned chicken breast, you can do canned salmon, you can do canned clams, you can do canned tuna, and they're convenient because you don't need to refrigerate them. So that's all goodness. The trick I found is to add them to something. That's why like your soups are so great, because if you just try to eat a can of chicken breast, it is not good. But if you add it to something, I don't think it's good. If you add it to something else.
It's kind of a bit hard going. I mean, it's just, you know.
No, it's fair. It's fair.
But tuna's a bit dry. If you just eat it straight out the can, how many times have I done that? If you just eat, it's kind of dry. But if you mix it with stuff, it just makes it just so much more yummy.
So delicious, nutritious, convenient. And then when we get to vegetables, I know a lot of the listeners are already familiar with this, but frozen vegetables, great. Some studies actually show that they're preferable to fresh vegetables because quote unquote fresh vegetables may not be all that fresh. They may have sat in the truck as they were transported across the country, whereas oftentimes, especially I love the flash frozen vegetables they sell at Costco. You're getting those flash frozen right at the source. So it's almost like getting them, it's actually closer to getting them off the farm, because from when they are taken from the farm to when they are flash frozen can be a shorter period of time than if you had fresh vegetables really weren't that fresh, which if you live in Ohio and the thing was grown in California, there's some time between it when that fresh vegetable is picked and when it is taken to your store 3,000 miles from where it was picked, or 2,000 miles.
I hear you. That's a compelling argument.
Boom!
But the foodie in me is always going to say fresh is best.
Yes, and it depends on what you're using them for too. So I have found that if you are more of an assembler, the convenience of frozen vegetables in the sense that you can buy them in bulk and not worry about them going bad is an amazing advantage in and of itself. I don't think it's a right or wrong.
Totally
it's just
except when it comes to peas. Frozen peas are awesome.
You're a fan of frozen peas?
I'm a huge fan of frozen peas. I don't eat them frozen, Jonathan. But I'm a huge fan of frozen peas, fresh, frozen, it's all the same.
You know what I actually prefer frozen that I surprised myself with this week?
I shudder to think.
Macadamia nuts.
Oh, yeah, nuts. Or I keep all my nuts in the freezer.
No, but not just keeping them in the freezer. I keep them in the freezer and then I eat them from the freezer, like when they're frozen. I do not thaw them out in any way.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge nut freezer. It means that you can buy in bulk and keep them fresh and not have to worry about them going rancid, because nuts do tend to go rancid quickly, especially if they're stored or if you live in the warm. Because they're
if you live in the warm.
If you live in what am I saying? If you live in a warm climate, they knew what I meant, Jonathan.
If you live in the cold, it's not so bad.
If you live in the warm, you may have a problem, because nuts are very oily, which is good. It's why they taste so good and it's why they're so good for us, but they do go rancid quickly, so keep them in the freezer.
And so, distinct from that point, which is true, I think, for example, eating frozen almonds to me is not good. I would much rather have my almonds not be frozen. However, macadamia nuts, I don't know why, but I actually am not a huge fan of macadamia nuts, but if I eat them frozen, they're fabulous. And here's why people are like, macadamia nuts? Aren't those the fattiest of all the nuts? They are.
Yay!
Yay! Which is funny because people are like, oh my God, they're the fattiest of all the nuts. That's true, but they are one of, if not the richest source of the same fat, which is the fat that causes people to think that olives and olive oil is so good for you. This monounsaturated fat, which is anti-inflammatory and brilliant, but that which people praise avocados for and that which people praise olives for, macadamia nuts are even better at. Of course, they're not as high in fiber as those other two substances, but personally, actually at this point, the only nut I eat, because I'm a little bit more hardcore about the omega-3 to omega-6 thing, which is going to make most listeners' eyes glaze over. But anyway, if you're sensitive to that, if you're a paleo practitioner, then macadamia nuts are your best friend, and get them off of Amazon in 5 or 10 pound bags, and you will save a dramatic amount of money versus buying them at the store.
Just don't forget to put them in the freezer.
And that is actually a big, macadamia nuts are expensive. Even at Costco, they are extremely expensive. And again, raw. Yep. Not cooked, not salted. Raw nuts are key.
My freezer is full, not of macadamias, but I do have some in there, but my freezer is half full of nuts because they are expensive generally. Macadamias particularly so, but nuts generally tend to be more expensive. So if you buy them in bulk, keep them in the freezer. That's a great way to save yourself some money and eat some fantastic nutrition.
And this is the one time I'm going to say, do not shop at Costco. Because we talked about protein, we talked about vegetables, both of which Costco is absolutely great. It's been my experience that nuts in bulk online is absolutely the way to go. Like, I get my coconut, I get mine, it's the brand is Let's Do Organic. You're welcome, Let's Do Organic. And I get it Amazon Subscribe and Save, which we've talked about previously, is amazing. First of all, Amazon has incredible prices to begin with. But if you sign up for their Subscribe and Save and you get I get a coconut. What the heck is the box?
Oh, the creamed coconut.
Creamed coconut.
He's talking about the concentrated creamed coconut.
As well as shredded coconut, which ironically the ingredients on both are the exact same, which is coconut. Right. It's just
right.
One is mashed. I get them both, Subscribe and Save from Amazon, which in addition to the already good price, ships to you for free, and they take 5 to 15% off depending on how many other things you already have in your order. So like literally folks, you can be 5-star sane and spend less on food, significantly less on food than someone who is completely insane.
Shop smarter.
But boom! Look at Carrie Brown dropping knowledge bombs to wrap up the podcast. Good job, Carrie. You redeemed yourself from saying people who live in the warm.
I'm the entertainment, okay? I did a good job back there.
Well, folks, thanks for joining us this week. And remember, in addition to shopping smarter, as Carrie so eloquently put it, eat smarter, exercise smarter, and live better. We'll chat with you next week.
See ya.
Wait, don't stop listening yet.
You can get fabulous free SANE recipes over at carriebrown.com.
And don't forget your 100% free eating and exercise quick start program, as well as free, fun, daily tips delivered right into your inbox at bailorgroup.com. That's BAILOR group.com.